A company founded 77 years ago today just proved that business can actually change the world for good. Honda Motor Company started with one simple principle, that the purpose of technology is to help people. And they've literally motorized 4 generations of working-class families across the globe. Here's the crazy part. Founder Soichiro Honda started by making piston rings in a shack after World War II bombers destroyed his original factory. He sold the ruins to Toyota and began making motorized bicycles that went bata-bata from the sound they made. From those humble, ramshackle bikes, Honda became the world's largest motorcycle manufacturer, producing 400 million vehicles by 2019. To put that in perspective, you could give every person in Japan, South Korea, Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, and Malaysia their own Honda moped and still have millions left over. Sometimes the most revolutionary companies are the ones that simply remember technology should serve humanity, not the other way around.
A luxury resort in Bali just figured out how to make vacation guilt disappear forever. The St. Regis Bali Resort is asking guests to adopt a coral reef instead of just lying on the beach. And it's actually working. They've partnered with the Nusa Dua Reef Foundation to restore underwater ecosystems that were dying from climate change and tourism damage. But here's what makes this story incredible. This isn't just performative environmentalism. Since 2018, they've been producing their own water in glass bottles, making 10,000 bottles daily to eliminate plastic waste. They've also turned 175 tons of food scraps and 192,000 kilos of garden waste into nutrient-rich compost. This is what happens when luxury tourism decides to give back instead of just take. Imagine if every resort on Earth followed this model. We could literally vacation our way to saving the planet. Sometimes the best solutions come from the most unexpected places.
New York just became the first state to ban something that will change how America builds forever. As of today, all new buildings in New York must be entirely electric with zero connections to fossil fuels, including gas. This isn't just about climate change, it's about money. Electric buildings cost less to operate and maintain, meaning lower utility bills for everyone. The rule was passed in 2023 as the All-Electric Buildings Act, but finalized just this summer. Here's why this matters beyond New York. When the Empire State leads, other states follow. California is already drafting similar legislation, and Massachusetts isn't far behind. We're witnessing the beginning of the end for gas hookups in American buildings. This single policy could prevent millions of tons of carbon emissions while saving residents billions in energy costs. Sometimes the biggest changes start with one state brave enough to go first. The future of American construction just got a whole lot cleaner.
A Brazilian community facing eviction just discovered the most beautiful way to fight back. In Sao Paulo's crowded favelas, where green space is almost impossible to find, residents decided to create something extraordinary, a community garden that's teaching environmental education while bringing neighbors together. Maria de Lourdes Drende Silva explains it perfectly. We didn't have sustainability specialists to teach us how to preserve the environment, so we came up with the idea of creating a community garden. And with the garden, we would bring environmental education. This isn't just about plants, it's about hope. When communities face displacement and poverty, they often discover their greatest strength lies in working together. This garden is proving that sustainability isn't just for wealthy neighborhoods with fancy eco-programs. Sometimes the most innovative environmental solutions come from people who have the least but care the most. These residents are showing the world that green living isn't a luxury. It's a necessity that anyone can create.
Hundreds of people just did something in Chicago that hasn't happened in nearly 100 years, and it proves our planet is healing. for the first time since the 1920s, swimmers dove into the Chicago River for an organized swim event. This is the same waterway that was once so polluted, it was literally one of the most befouled rivers in the world. The fact that people can now safely swim in it represents one of the greatest environmental comeback stories in American history. The September 21st event wasn't just about celebrating clean water. It raised funds for ALS research and youth swim education programs. Think about this transformation. A river so toxic it killed fish for decades is now clean enough for hundreds of humans to swim in safely. This happened because of decades of environmental regulations, cleanup efforts, and communities refusing to accept pollution as normal. If Chicago can clean up one of America's most polluted rivers, imagine what's possible everywhere else. Sometimes the best proof that change is possible is jumping right into it.
A country most people couldn't find on a map just became the world's most progressive nation for electric vehicles. Ethiopia, until recently, had almost zero electric cars. Then last year, they did something no other country has ever done. They banned all imports of combustion engine vehicles completely. Now electric vehicles are everywhere in the capital, and Ethiopia is leading a revolution that richer nations are still debating. This is incredible because Ethiopia isn't wealthy. Their average income is a fraction of developed countries. Yet they're proving that going electric isn't about having money, it's about having vision. While America argues about EV infrastructure and Europe phases in electric slowly, Ethiopia just ripped off the Band-Aid and went full electric overnight. The result? Cleaner air, reduced oil dependence, and a booming electric vehicle market. Sometimes the most innovative solutions come from countries that can't afford to make the same mistakes everyone else did. Ethiopia just showed the world what climate leadership actually looks like.
A 10-year-old girl just made history by doing something that will inspire every kid who's ever been told they're too young to matter. Bothana Sivanandan, who only started playing chess 5 years ago, just defeated a 60-year-old grandmaster in the British Chess Championships, becoming the youngest female player in history to beat a grandmaster. Peter Wells, the grandmaster she defeated, has been playing chess longer than Bothana has been alive. But here's what makes the story incredible. Bothana didn't just get lucky. She's been studying, practicing, and competing against adults who underestimated her because of her age. This win represents something bigger than chess. It's proof that talent, dedication, and fearlessness can overcome any advantage that age or experience might provide. In a world where kids are often told to wait their turn, Bothana just proved that excellence doesn't have an age requirement. Sometimes the most powerful moves come from the players no one sees coming.
Americans just proved that kindness is recession-proof, with numbers that will restore your faith in humanity. Despite inflation, economic uncertainty, and political division, charitable giving in 2024 increased by 3.3% to a staggering $592.5 billion. That's not just money, that's millions of people choosing to help others even when their own budgets are tight. This increase happened during a year when many families struggled with rising costs for everything from groceries to housing. Yet, somehow, Americans found ways to give more, not less. The Giving USA report shows that when times get tough, Americans don't become more selfish, they become more generous. This $592.5 billion represents food banks feeding families, scholarships sending kids to college, medical research finding cures, and countless small acts of kindness multiplied across an entire nation. In an era of endless bad news, this is proof that the American spirit of generosity isn't just alive, it's growing stronger every year.
Scientists in South Australia just witnessed something so beautiful, it's being called a sign of hope for our oceans. Southern right whales are having a bumper calving season, with more baby whales being born than researchers have seen in years. This is happening in the Great Australian Bight Marine Park, which is celebrating its 30th anniversary as one of the primary calving grounds for these magnificent creatures. Here's why this matters so much. Southern right whales were nearly extinct just decades ago due to whaling. The fact that they're now thriving enough to have record numbers of babies represents one of conservation's greatest success stories. These whales are also indicators of ocean health. When whales thrive, it means the entire marine ecosystem is recovering. The timing is perfect, too. This bumper season coincides with the marine park's anniversary, proving that protected areas actually work. Sometimes the best news comes from the creatures who can't speak for themselves, but show us through their recovery that our planet is healing.
London's most iconic symbol was born 71 years ago today, and it just proved that great design never goes out of style. The Routemaster double-decker bus was introduced on September 24, 1954, and became so beloved that it outlasted several attempts to replace it. This isn't just about transportation, it's about how thoughtful design can become part of a city's soul. The Routemaster was so revolutionary that it survived the privatization of London transport and spread to other UK cities. In 2006, it was voted one of Britain's top 10 design icons alongside Concorde, the Mini, and the London Tube Map. The Royal Mail even featured it on commemorative stamps in 2009. Here's what makes the story special. The Routemaster proves that when you design something with people in mind, it becomes timeless. While other buses came and went, the Routemaster endured because it perfectly balanced function with beauty. Sometimes the most lasting innovations are the ones that make everyday life a little more wonderful.